Well, hello. Let's take a quick peek. Let's get over here and let's see if we can rustle up anybody to come hang out and chat today. I suspect it is going to be a super quiet day, but hey, you know what? That's fine. We will find a way to entertain people and have a good cyber buzzing morning. I will try and rally some troops. I've got some fun stuff to talk about, but frankly, I just got a lot of good music. I want to play you guys some Synthwave. I want to brighten up your day. So in the interim, hi. Oh my goodness. Qua, are you actually going to show up? Is this a pity attendance? But I thought we might talk a little bit about the Hive hard fork that's upcoming. Only a little bit. We'll see what people want to talk about. But some Hardforkin topics, some chitty chat about the world at large, and lots of new synthwave music. So we'll see. We'll see what we can do. But what I might quickly do is I've got to quickly run downstairs and I've got to make sure that there's a note on my front door for a package that'll be coming. So the quickest thing that I can do is play a track. I'm going to play a track while people are wandering on in. It is a pity attendance. Thank you, Qua. People are going to wander on in. I'm going to play a quick track. Just make sure that there's a note on my door for a delivery that's coming. You'd think as a radio broadcaster and a live streamer and all these things to make sure that people enjoy themselves and whatnot. Lordy, that I would indeed be able to have this prepped ahead of time, but I don't. And you just learn to accept that and you go with it. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly put on a track to start the show. We'll let some people filter in here and then we'll go from there. Right? Maybe. But yeah, so we'll give a chance for people to wander on in and we'll then start the show. But even if it's a quiet day today, I know there are people that jump in and out all across the different streams. So music is exactly what we need. Yeah, they'll come. I know, Qua. You never come, so I'm really happy that you'll be here, even if it really is just a pity attendance. Oh, Lord. But that's okay. Listen, it's my job to entertain you guys for a little bit. My name is Crimson Clad, and this is CyberBuzz Radio. Whether you are listening or watching or just hanging out, my job is to keep you happy. And I actually had the idea for open chat today that people could jump in and we could talk about whatever you wanted. And of course, those are the days that everyone avoids. Nobody wants to be called on. It's like being in the first 14 rows at SeaWorld. You don't want to be in the splash zone. I get it. But I do have lots of fun music, so we will do that. I'm going to play a really quick track, like super quick track, just to give me a chance to be able to go run downstairs and put that note on my door. Is it dumb? Yes. Am I a professional? Something like that, but it's fine. I'm going to play you a track by Robots with Ray Guns, who you often see him kicking around. He is a Twitter master. He's a great person. He's full of malarkey, which I really enjoy, obviously. And also really involved in sort of the crypto space and the Ethereum landscape. He's all on board for sort of some of the crazy stuff that's been happening around music NFTs and art NFTs and ownership. And you know, a lot of artists and musicians are really against it. And part of that is an educational thing. So it's always good to see these people that jump in and are trying to make things easier for others. So we will quickly play a track. We'll give people time to filter in. And if nobody filters in, then it'll just be us buddies here today. And you know what? That's A-okay too. So we'll do that. We'll really quickly start with a track called Fire by Robots with Ray Guns. And then we will get right back and we will start the show. Right? Right. We'll be cyber buzzing, guys. I hope you are having a wonderful Saturday. Let's see if we can get this going. There we go. Like, couldn't get much quicker than that. Hey guys, so welcome to CyberBuzz Radio. Some people are swooping on in. Hi Stace. Hi everybody else who is. I see a couple people wandering around. I don't see anybody over on the Vim yet, but I'm happy to have you guys. And today is probably gonna be a real chill one. And you know what? I'm a-okay with that. I noticed there's some people over on Theta. People are around about doing their stuff. So hey, my name is Crimson Clad, and whether you're here or not, is that Swoop? No, Swoop has left us a long time ago. He's out in the big world making stuff happen and having a whole lot of fun with the NFT space and art space and everything else. Now, I know one thing that we wanted to test out, and Uncle Bonehead does it. He's fake newsing right now. But one of the cool things that Uncle Bonehead does is he shares his screen right here in Discord. So for some people who want to watch and listen at the same time, if you don't want to go to one of the many, and I mean many, places that you can watch and chat and hang out, then there are some options for you. And I'm going to try this right now. Let's just see. If we share our screen and we grab this and we say, we're going to do everything good, 1080p, everything looks good, let's go live. The question will be, we'll find out if anybody can watch and listen just by clicking on that stream. Because for some people, that's going to be a great option. So we'll see if it works. You guys let me know how it is. Now, the thing is if you're hanging out in the broadcast room where a lot of people do listen to the sound, you want to mute that bot. You definitely do not want to get this magical duplicate sound up in your ears. But listen, we're testing it out. We're seeing what's happening. We are getting a feel. We're getting a feel for whether or not it's working. All right, so let's chill today because there's lots of stuff to talk about. And one of the things that I kind of wanted to get everybody's opinion on, of course, is the upcoming Hive hard fork. And I thought we'd talk a little bit about that, maybe get your guys' ideas on it. And one of the cool things that's happening this morning for many of the people who hang out on Twitch or who are game centric is there is actually a gaming tournament going on right now. And I think that's part of why the Hive aspect of things is quiet today. There is a gaming tournament that is happening. The Mazer game team, let's see if I can just find it. There is a really cool esports tournament that is happening right now. So let's doing this. What is Crim doing live? Well, that's how I know that Qua is fake newsing. Welcome to Clits and Tits Bar and Grill. That is a hell of a name. So yeah, Qua, I know you're fake newsing because I just explained what I was doing live. Listen, if you're just wandering in today and you are here to be entertained, listen to a little bit of synthwave music, maybe learn a little bit of crypto or Hive blockchain or whatever, maybe, baby, you just want to just chill out with the group. Today's a good day for it. So yes, I'm just sharing that today. I know a lot of people are are involved in this Mazer Gaming Tournament. It's really, really cool. Of course, we're looking for more partnerships and, you know, Hive in general is always looking to kind of onboard full communities, and our gaming community around Hive is wild and awesome. That's got to be Swoop. I guarantee you it's not. Swoop would never choose a name like that. I have my suspicions on who that might be. But either way, welcome to the stream. Wherever you may be watching or listening, listen up. Here's the idea. CyberBuzz Radio is, you know, yes, it's audio first, but there's a visual component. So however it is that you want to engage with the show today, engage with me, engage with the rest of the community, I'm here for a couple of hours every Saturday to play you some fun synthwave music, usually new releases, not always, to keep you entertained, to talk a little bit about what's going on in the Hive ecosystem, and of course, just to talk a little bit and get a little philosophical about that retro future aspect of our lives. And so when I talk about that, it is very much the aesthetic around here. You got your blues and your pinks and your neon lights. It's very much that sort of dystopian techno vibe that was especially prevalent in the 80s and 90s, the cyberpunk aspect before cyberpunk was a game, Blade Runner, and, you know, all of these sort of techno dystopian futures that now we look back on, and they have this fun, crazy retro aspect to them. But in a lot of ways, they were the precursor to how we look at the future today. So a little bit sci-fi, a whole lot of nostalgia, great music, and a lot of like techno talk. This is a fun show. So, you know, if you're just wandering through for the first time today, I'd love it if you stuck around. So, I did want to mention some stuff happening around Hive because, of course, you know, the Hive blockchain is where this show was born, shall we say, my dears. And so the thing about that is that for a long time, this show was always just teaching about teaching about the Hive blockchain, teaching about all of the fun shit that goes on around the Hive blockchain, and for a lot of people, empowering them with knowledge, which sounds, you know, sometimes it sounds a little like whatever. But it's the truth, empowering them with knowledge so that they could learn a little bit more about the ecosystem that they were a part of. And, you know, for the first little bit, every show was explaining, you know, how block production rounds works, how to set up a node, understanding nuances like payouts. And one of the most wonderful things is after 5 years of doing this show, most people 1,000% know exactly what that ecosystem looks like. But every time we have a hard fork, we always have some rule changes, we have some stuff going on. And, you know, this particular hard fork upcoming isn't really going to change a lot of those core, isn't going to change a lot of those core aspects. It's not going to change a lot of the things that you know as a user in terms of the rules of the blogging aspect of the blockchain. But there's some cool stuff coming up, especially with communities and some other work around resource credits and things that I think for a lot of people is going to really kind of enhance their experience around the blockchain. And for many of you guys who come to this show, that's your bread and butter. So, you know, as today goes on, if you have some questions, you have some thoughts, and you want to talk a little bit about that, then that's a-okay. We will do it. Day drinking over with clits and tits. So let's see how quickly I get banned off Twitch for saying that. I may have a drink here as well. I'm rocking my morning jogging outfit today. So, you know, it's, I've put the hair down and kind of vaguely put on a face. But otherwise, the beanie and the jogging pants, and we're just comfy and we're hanging out all buds today. I have a lot of new music. I have a lot of fun synthwave. I have a lot of stuff that I want to play for you guys. And so one of the things that I've been working on in the background is getting some new visualizers and stuff mixed up. So I'm going to, so fucking hot. Lies, Kwa. So many lies. But I appreciate them, and I would be completely fine if you chose to continue lying to me forever. I'm not too fucking proud, let's just say. But there's a bunch of stuff that's upcoming in the ecosystem, and one of the other things that people are so excited about today, of course, is Polycub with Leo. The Leo Finance team has been working on Polycub for ages, and so there is some really exciting stuff happening there that's like beyond multi-chain, a bunch of really cool DeFi stuff for people in the Hive ecosystem. A hair in my mouth, delicious. And so that is like, it's happening. If it hasn't, I'm pretty sure the countdown is like already over. We'll take a look at that. We'll talk a little bit about that. And in the coming weeks, I definitely want to get the Leo team over here to talk about it. And then of course, Deluxe, Steve's going to be coming on the air to talk about some of the stuff there. So, you know, we're going to have some Hive-centric days, but on a day like today, it can just be whatever we want. Ain't nobody here but us chickens for our, you know, private little gathering. So, we can play some more music. It can be mostly a music day. For those of you who are kicking it in the Discord, or who may be watching or hanging out, wherever it is you are doing that, then I have absolutely no problem. Making sure that you are well entertained and well danced. Can we say that? You will be well danced. All right. So, let's continue on. I do have lots of new music, and I do want to play some for you guys. So I feel like let's have that thing going on. as it is. Let's take a boo. And I've also noticed that if you are watching the stream in the Discord, I apologize. Look at this. My cursor shows up. Why is that? I don't know how to change that setting. So I'm going to try and take some stuff off this screen. But the reality is you're probably going to see it. This is a transitory test thing. We're just seeing how it's going. I'll figure out how to stop this nonsense later on. But listen, my name is Crimson Clad, and I want to play some music today. I want to get you dancing and maybe even get you talking. Otherwise, I want to make sure that you know about all the cool stuff that's going on around the ecosystem and whatever, man. It's an easy kind of day. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Crim and squeezy. That's rude. We won't do that. Let's not do that. All right, so let's take a boo here. Let me figure out some of the new stuff that I have added. Okay, I am going to... There we go. I'm going to play you something. I'm going to start with something totally not... Totally not as synthwavy as I normally play, but that's got some bounce and some fun kind of stuff to it. Yeah, it's an easy peasy kind of day. Here, I will tell you, one of the things that's always a little tricky that I often deal with is I have this beautiful office set up for this streaming, for doing live radio broadcasts, for doing talks, around at conferences and, teaching and things like that. But one of the most sort of fun and also problematic things is I have a giant wall of windows in front of me. And for those of you who are just listening, you have to imagine it. Today is stunning here in BC. The sun is out, it's shining, the sky is blue, there's not a cloud out there. And so one of the things I have to do while I'm live on air is this. If I open this window, look at the sun. Look at the sun come in. And if you're just listening, of course, what it means is I go white as a ghost and the room is flooded with light and it's fantastic. But I'll tell you what, I have to keep this closed, not just for your viewing quality, but because every part of me desperately wants to be outside. I want to be climbing a mountain. And I thought, I can also, for those of you watching, whoa, it's a lot of sun. But I desperately want to be outside. And of course, if I just hide that away, then we can be here in our little dirty neon dungeon. And hey, Clay, and just kind of kicking it and forgetting the fact that it is so absolutely fabulous and sunny outside. But after that, I will. The sweater will come off and I'll not to show you cleavage, but the sweater will come off and I'll be out rocking just the jogging outfit again, I think. I'm going to go climb something. But so, hey, listen. More music. Yes? Yes. We're going to do that, and then we'll come back and we will we'll figure out where the rest of the show is going. Clay is here. Maybe some more people will come. Maybe they won't. How can you blame them? How can you blame them on a Saturday like today? Absolutely stunning. So we will, Qua was gonna leave, but now he's staying. And everybody who was fake newsing in chat is suddenly listening. I get it. I get how it's gonna be. And we literally just had this discussion about titty streamers. Maybe we could talk about that today too, because we often talk about streaming and stuff like that on the show. So let's do it. I want to play you a new track, and it's not going to be as synthwavy as normal, but you can always, it's not a ruin the show, Clay. I mean, the reality is Clay often says, he'll come and he'll say something and then we'll go off on a tangent. But I want to throw it out there for the people that do actually, hang with us. This show is very nebulous, and I could very easily ignore the chat and just talk about stuff I want to talk about. But that's not really how we do things around here. That's not really the point of the show. So I will very specifically respond to audience stuff, especially like weird shit that Clay says. Because often, honestly, it's fun. It's more entertaining for you guys. It's a better back and forth. It's a better conversation. And for people listening just to the radio side of things, it's usually a giant pile of what the fuck that's a little entertaining. So, if you've got a topic, let's play the topic. If you guys want to have some hella fun, we will have some hella fun. It's fine. Clay, do be saying some weird shit. You don't think it do be like it is, but it was. So that's fine. I want to play you guys the least synthwavy new track of the day, and it's by a group called Priest. It is a new track called Techno Girl. I'm not saying that's kind of my jam, but it's kind of my jam. And so one of the things that I have been doing, and you're going to see over the course of today, is I've been working on different layouts. I'll show you. Now, normally, here is the regular music and art chat. It's a lot of Crim's face. It's the chat over here, and then down in the corner and down below is where, is where the music information would be. That's great and all, but while we're kind of talking and dancing, and while we're trying to give like some high praise to these artists who make the music, I'm actually working here on a secondary video screen. So there's only a couple things. You can see this random right here, random sort of laser piece, and the chat's not done, but we're pretty damn close. So I've got the new layout. It's more art-centric. It's visualizer-centric. In some cases, it could even be a karaoke style thing. Got a lot going on, but it's going to at least showcase the music more, which is really important to me. So if you see things flying around while you're in chat and you're like, I don't know, this is the ugliest overlay and what the fuck is Crim doing? Crim doesn't know. She's just playing it by ear. We'll figure it out. Don't even worry about it, or do worry about it. Listen, it is what it is. But CyberBuzz is a love affair with, it's a love affair with that neon drenched future retro noir. It is, Blade Runner meets blockchain. It's hopefully really entertaining, and every Saturday it's right here live on MSP Wave. So if you want to hang out with me, please do. You're allowed to chat. You're allowed to stay and lurk quiet in the background. Whatever makes you happy. But we'll do some music here. So let's see what we were going to do. A band called Priest, a brand new track called Techno Girl. Let's see if I can get that overlay looking perfect for you guys, and some fun music to get us going here on CyberBuzz Radio. All right, I'm not quite done here. But yeah, so I mean, if you see live next to my name and you click on it, you can just watch. You can easily watch live in the Discord, however you want to do your thing. I don't know if it jumps you into this on-air room. Is that what happens? You're not a dumbass. So I'm curious to know if you want to watch the stream live in Discord as opposed to some of the other options. Let me get off this page. It's almost done. Camera's looking good. Artwork's looking good. Naming's looking good. Let's do that. Let's do a pause. Now, so here's a good question. That's very helpful, Uncle Bonehead. So if you are not a DJ, because most people can't make it into the live on air room, if you're not a DJ, what happens if you want to watch the stream in Discord? I'm very curious to know, because of course, for other people, they're not able to just join the live on air room. Hi, Marco. Hi, more people who are joining. So I'm curious to know, can you just watch the live stream without being in the same room as me? And if that's the case, when you do, can you hear anything? Can you hear all of the audio that's coming through the computer? Because maybe you wouldn't be able to hear my side of things. So this is a test. It's only a test. Don't get too excited. But this might actually mean that in the future, I will get out of the live on air room and have that broadcasted into the broadcast room. I don't know. It's a test. No audio too. Okay, so the test is bad. The test is very bad. But one thing that is nice is that live does show up on the server. So for most people, can't click on it, so no, you can't watch in Discord. So the reality is it's not helpful, but it does make a live flag. So only DJs are going to get fucked up. So you know what? Let me think about how to better use this tool in the future. But while we're live right now, nobody fucking cares. And that's okay. I'm going to think a little bit more about what that looks like, and we'll kind of go from there. But if nothing else, it does put a flag on the server, so it might be worth it in the long run to, sorry, I got hair all up in my face that I'm trying to fix. God, being on camera all the time is just a whole thing, isn't it? Gee, bus. Let's try and, I don't know. It is what it is. But so let me think about how to use this tool. It's not important. I'm not going to think about it while I'm live on air. I'll think about it after I get off later today. So we've been talking a little bit about, chill topics for today because it's sunny. Everybody wants to be outside. Everybody is watching the Mazer Gaming Tournament that is being sponsored by Hive right now. There's lots of good fun stuff going on. And, I've just been playing some new and old Synthwave. It's going to be a very dancey day, and I'm going to have an open chat. But what I was mentioning is that there is a hard fork coming up for Hive, and well, it's not going to change any of the core rules that people will freak out over, which is, of course, payouts, reward pools, stuff like that. There will be some changes to communities, and a lot of it is really going to be some of the back-end stuff. And, we've had the first couple of hard forks for Hive, the one that created it, and then the next big hard fork have all been infrastructure-wise. And one of the biggest changes, and I deal with this a lot, and for some of you it'll be interesting, and for some of you it's going to be you mellow out for a little bit. But I will say, one of the biggest changes that I've seen, I do a lot of liaison work for Hive. And in a lot of cases, I'm constantly working with developers and especially devs who have kind of been in and out of the ecosystem, or people who, obviously just kind of were hands off after the whole initial hard fork situation. From the legacy chain over on Steam, when that happened, there were a lot of people who were just like, well, new forks never do well, so fuck this shit, and just kind of went dormant for a bit. And to have them come back and see that the chain is not only surviving, but thriving, it's often surprising. And they come back and they're incredibly excited. They're like, holy shit, what happened? What is this? What's going on? How did I get here? Who put this pudding in my pants? And so a lot of the time, I'm working with those devs to help them catch up. And this is a lot of common discussion where people were like, well, there was this thing I was trying to do on the old blockchain, and, I'm not sure how to do it on the new one. And with the hard forks that we've had, it's really crazy. The absolute, rocket-powered changes that have happened on the back end of things. And so in the coming weeks, maybe very soon, even Hive.blog and many of the sort of public-facing API will all be switched over to the Hive application framework. And so for the layman's term, it's basically things will get easier, resources will go down, speeds will get faster, and for developers wanting to build, the amount of work will just be sucked way, way down. Because right now I spend a lot of time working with people who are like, well, this is the way it was on Steam. And I get to tell them, we fixed that. It doesn't suck like that anymore. And it's going to get faster and better in the weeks to come. And that's been really fun. But for laymen and for people who just use the blogging aspect, or people who just move around the ecosystem playing games like Splinterlands or whatever, this hard fork is not going to be terribly exciting for you, or at the very least, it's not going to throw you off your game. We're not going to throw off your groove. The reality is things as you know them are going to stay roughly the same. And that's kind of a big thing because we know that hard forks are often a big panic time because something will happen, that directly sort of connects to user experience, but not just user experience in design. I'm talking specifically about rewards pool. Yeah, holy shit, there's a fork coming. We don't have a date yet. I can give you the best estimate, but we're not quite putting it out there yet. Next couple of months, you'll see a solidified announcement about a fork. The testnet is back up. So if you guys want to talk a little bit about what does it look like to kind of dive into testing on a public testnet? I'm a layperson. Can I do this? Is it helpful? Can I learn from this? And the answer is yes. So if we want to talk a little bit about how do I never, not a dev, not a person who understands this kind of stuff, how can I get involved? We can talk a little bit more about that. But yes, there's actually a fork coming. Now, Marco, Bittrex is a whole thing. If you've ever used Hive, Bittrex is down more than it's up. And, we've kind of had some speculative conversation on this show, but what I can tell you is the reality is Bittrex has I don't know, let's call it 8,000 coins or something about, and almost every single one requires them to run a node. I'm not going to lie to you. They really don't give a shit. They run the nodes, they hope for the best, and the reality is, there is still sort of a steep-ish learning curve on how to run an exchange node. Now, an exchange node for Hive is not necessarily that much different than any other Hive node. But the reality is security, you got to be a lot more careful about it. And having your having your configuration. What do you need as an exchange? What is the rest of the information that is passed around the Hive blockchain? Honestly, there is just a shitload of information. Hive is a massive information sharing blockchain. And so one of the trickiest parts about that is filtering out the data that you need. Not everybody knows how to set up a config. And so exchange teams and with Hive, it's no different. It's obviously not one of the top 10 coins. So their priority levels are based solely on how much money they're making. They have a liaison team that is full of, top witnesses and amazing devs and shitty people like me. And they will avail themselves of the help if they need it. But the reality is it's just their priorities are not always with coins that are a little lower down. And so they often, it's not even so much that the exchange is breaking, it's that keeping nodes, nannying nodes. Remember Forstickin made that terrible video, babysitting Bitcoin, where you just watch something all the time? If your config is not as great as it can be, and you're putting it on a server that isn't necessarily dedicated to this one node, and maybe you're running 62 different random shitcoin nodes all on your Hive node, there's a good chance you're probably going to run into problems more often than not. And they do know how to fix it. When they don't, they do reach out. But in general, it's just how much money are we losing per second? Those are the nodes we're going to focus on. And it's very frustrating because it feels so shitty for Hive users because, Bittrex is one of those exchanges that for a lot of people, it is their first exchange, like Marco's saying, or it's the exchange that's most accessible to them. So one of the big things with Half and some of the stuff upcoming is it will be immensely easier, not just to set up a node config this way, but the resources needed once again will be a lot different, and how they're allocated will be a lot different. And hopefully in a lot of ways, it's going to increase stability. Because if you notice, Hive is on 15, 20 exchanges, and almost none have these problems. And what that really comes down to is how much time, how much resources, how many developers and people can they dedicate to keeping this running smoothly. And the reality is Bittrex's money comes from certain places, and it's not always gonna be Hive. So, is it that hard? No. Can we make them care? Maybe. It's funny because it's a cyclical thing. The more Bittrex nodes are down for Hive, the less Hive users, and especially people who are high volume traders or who like to make big purchases, they're not going to use Bittrex. And so it's this self-fulfilling prophecy. The more instability and downtime they have, the more people are going to move their tokens to somewhere else. And I know this is a fact. And if you have been watching Binance via something like, say, Mandala or Huobi, whatever, those are the places that people are moving, or, Bithumb or any of these other sort of big exchanges are starting to really reap the benefits because people are like, hey, I don't want to be using Bittrex knowing their downtime issues. And so it's a cyclical problem that I am hoping with some strong liaison work, we can help them change. Will they necessarily listen? Tough to say, but that's all right. Okay, so I want to play another track. It's a chill day today. People are wandering in, and I'm happy to see you. I see Groff's over there hanging out on the Trovo feed. My name is Crimson Clad, and this is CyberBuzz Radio, and I had some topics that I thought we could talk about, and I thought I'd touch on some Hive stuff, but mostly I want to play you guys some fun synthwave music. I want to work a little bit on the overlay experience today, and for people who are just listening, I would like to entertain you a little bit. It's a beautiful sunny day outside. Lots of people are hanging out at the Mazer Gaming Tournament, which is sponsored by Hive. So there's lots of stuff going on, and probably a lot of people are going to end up watching this on the replay, and that's a-okay. So what else do I have to play for you? I played some Priest. I played a track called Techno Girl. And I still have lots of fun stuff. I want to play something new by Laserpunk, and everything that I've played by Laserpunk, you guys have enjoyed immensely, which makes me very happy. You guys will know that my favorite track, and probably everybody's favorite track by Laserpunk, is a track called Black Lambo. But there are some sick tracks that he's just released. One of them is called Heavy Weapon, and I was thinking about playing another track called Synthetic Soul. We may play both. Heavy Weapon is pretty cool. It's got a visualizer on it that's just nothing but like awesome firearms just scrolling across the screen. It's pretty cool. We can take advantage of my new overlay that I'm working on to do some of the visualizer stuff. But I'm going to play you this Synthetic Soul track. It is awesome. It's a very classic synthwave. And it's a collaboration with another artist called Extra Terra, who I've played on the show before too. So long and the short of it is, let's play a track called Synthetic Soul. We're all just moving towards that space, aren't we? We talk about meta on here a lot, VR, AR. Where does your soul live? For me, a little piece is going to be locked in the blockchain forever. I basically exist on the chain now, but a lot of it is roaming free out in the world, looking out this window at this beautiful day. And a little piece of it belongs to all of you. So let's do this. Let's play Synthetic Soul. My name is Crimson Clad. This is CyberBuzz Radio. It's on MSP Waves. All right, there you go. So Uncle Bonehead's just asking, did I make this visualizer? No, I was just mentioning one of the things that I've always wanted to do is showcase way more of the music that I play on this show. And so if you've been around over the years, the overlay has obviously changed a lot. If you're just a radio listener, then that's okay. You don't see anything, and that's not a problem. But for those of you who is here and who is listening, hi, Krish. Good to see you. Welcome. I haven't seen you around. I wonder who you is, but I'm happy to have you here. We're talking a little bit about Hive today, music, just having fun. But yeah, so the way that this came about, if I'll switch back over, here's the regular music and art screen. And so normally what would happen is you would see stuff down here, which is okay, right? It's all right. But I really want to share these artists. I want you to find artists that you love. And you know, as much as everybody wants to look at my face, gigantic, no. What we could do instead is showcase music. And so I've been building a new overlay. Now, Spotify is the devil. I want to throw this out here. You know, we talk about on this show a lot. We talk about what are great open source alternatives, what is, you know, what's encouraging to musicians, how do we support them, what are great options, you know, do we pay for music, do you not pay for music? And everybody's got different opinions on this, and that's okay. But generally, for me, especially because I am doing radio and I'm sharing a lot of music with you guys, for me, it's really important that I make sure the artists get paid in that process, of course, and I make sure that they get their tires pumped a little bit. And so I do a couple of different things. Yes, I pay for Spotify. That sucks. But I do it for a reason, and it's not to pay artists. When I find artists that I love, I go over to Bandcamp. Hey, Tainted Blood! Oh my goodness, when was the last time I got to see you? That's so exciting. I'm happy to have you, babe. And so I will buy merch whenever I can. I will go to shows whenever I can, and I will use a source like Bandcamp. But one thing that I can say, one useful aspect of Spotify, especially as an audio-visual streamer and broadcaster and whatever, is that Spotify has great great tools and great designs. And this is one of them. So if you look over there, you will see this cool visualizer video. We're flying, things are happening. We're going through this amazing, check this out, flying around like crazy. That's an awesome visualizer. And so I didn't actually make this. One of the things that Spotify does really, really well is they give artists tools to really personalize pages and things like that. They showcase lots of spaces where artists can upload videos. And this is a new thing that has launched only for phones. And so if you use Spotify as an app on your phone, there's something called Visualizer on your phone and tablet. And that's this. And so artists, because of course, Spotify has a lot of payola. Let's be realistic. Spotify drags artists. I don't want to say they drag artists, but they drag artists 1,000% to attempt to get money out of them. That's all fine and good, for sure. There is some aspect of that all around the world, but it's not okay with small artists like this. And so, things that artists can do to get their music noticed, Spotify does allow some cool tools. And one of them is this visualizer, but you can't see it on PC. And so one of the things that I've been experimenting with is running things like the Spotify app in sandboxed different emulators. And so one of the cool things that I've discovered I can do is I could take advantage of these really cool videos and visualizers that artists put a lot of work into, because this is such a vibe. This is a fucking vibe over here. It's very much the aesthetic of the show. And they've chosen this. It's really cool looking. It's a great example of what's going on with this track. And I want to be able to share that with you guys. You don't need to see my face gigantic. You need to get exactly the feeling that this music is, putting down for you. So this is a cool new thing. I'm working on it. I've actually been kind of fussing with the overlay today, and I'll continue to fuss with it because I want to use these tools. And the reality is Spotify makes them possible. So when you are watching or listening, before I drive you away and I lose you, the reality is I want to use these things to give you the best experience, whether you watch, whether you listen, and to showcase all the work that the artist has put in. But at the end of the day, I will still go out, I will buy the music, I'll find it on, whether it's Groupies or Bandcamp, or I will buy some merch or whatever to support these artists. But this is cool. And these visual effects and these excellent APIs and tools that I can use, right now Spotify is the leader on that. Does it suck? Abso-fucking-lutely. But if I do this, then you don't have to do this. So we will continue along. Have you looked at SCRCPY? No, I haven't. That sounds like it's a scraping program for the Spotify API, though. With that being said, no big deal. Because I do both. But I do find that Spotify's tools are the absolute easiest for me to integrate, for me to build scripts around, for me to pull information and display on screen for you guys. Shares your phone screen with your computer. No, fuck that shit. I don't want to do that. That's way more work than it has to be. It's cool and awesome, but in this case, totally unnecessary to run the app on my phone and then have that transferred over here when I can literally just run an emulator. Screen copy. That makes sense. There's no R in there, but that makes sense. Or there's no N, pardon me. But yeah, so in this case, that wouldn't be useful. But you're right. For a lot of people doing streaming and showing off apps or whatever, that'd be a really cool tool. Not necessary here, but I get you. I feel ya. I hear ya. So now that everybody is like having vertigo and flipping out because this overlay has just been, we're just going to do this. We're going to spin around in the future for a while. Oh my God. I've made myself dizzy. Okay, let's go back to the chat screen. But so I'm working on that. I'm working on a better experience for all of the listeners and users and the watchers who hang out. Listen, so before the break, we were talking a little bit about upcoming Hive hardforks. We were talking about you don't put it on your phone. Yeah, I know. Okay, what I'm talking about in this case, bonehead, is needing to transfer the data of what is being done on your phone to the PC. That is an unnecessary step for me, and it's actually a resource hog in a lot of cases. I can just run the program directly on my PC as a phone, emulate a phone without any of the other shit. No need for across either a wired or a wireless internet transfer, which of course is problematic when you are doing things like streaming. You don't want to use up your bandwidth. You don't want to have too much running where you don't have to. This is a great option. Just saying, sir. I like it. There's lots of good things I can do with it, but not Spotify. Fuck Spotify. I don't want to run it on my phone if I don't have to. Okay, so far and beyond that, we were talking a little bit about upcoming Hive hard forks. We were talking a little bit about the fact that Bittrex stinks. Yeah, I said it. Bittrex, I know you're not listening, but you stink. You stink. Bittrex stinks. It's not a great option for you to use for Hive, and hopefully that we can change that someday. And then we were talking a little bit about what? About new music and just chillax and talking about, that was really all we got through. It's been a very lazy, chill first half hour, or even first hour. I guess we're half of the show, not first half hour, first half of the show. So people are wandering in, people are coming in and out. I see you all over the streams. My name is Crimson Clad, and this is CyberBuzz Radio. We talk about retro future tech, and we have a little bit of fun, and you know, we dance to some new music. And today is a quiet day. It's beautiful outside. There's stuff going on around the ecosystem. There is that whole impending World War III that I think has a lot of people sort of remembering that they need to call their families or go outside and live life. And, you know, there's a lot going on there for sure. But whatever it is, I'm here to entertain you for another hour. And, so one of the things I was mentioning sort of before the break is how beautiful it is and how my soul, a little piece of my soul is locked in the blockchain, but a lot of pieces of my soul are not. And for me especially, because I am very tech-centric and I love disruptive tech. I love things that are happening in the technological center that are scary and invite a lot of changes, and in a lot of cases, you know, force us to think differently. You know, how can this new thing be used for bad? How do we mitigate that? What are the hopeful and amazing potentials of new technology? You know, we try to do a balanced view on this show. And so the thing is because that's such an important part of my life, the other big balance has to be nature. It has to be environmental. And for many of you guys, you've gotten to know me through terrible travel stories and sort of my visual lens on the outside world. And of course, these last couple of years with COVID, and especially in sort of the way the world has been, traveling hasn't happened as much. You know, I did, he has not, he doesn't love me. He's here as a pity viewer, but I that alone is enough to make me very happy. Uncle Bonehead. Quai's here, and I'll take what I can get. I'm not too proud. But so here's the deal. You know, during this whole pandemic, I did take some trips, and I live in beautiful British Columbia, and I say that's our tagline, but at the end of the day, beautiful British Columbia. It is one of the most incredible places on earth. And, you know, during the pandemic, I did a lot of driving around, and I'm very lucky that every single day I am able to leave my house. 10 minutes in one direction is a river. 10 minutes in another direction is a dike system that goes up the upper Indian Arm and eventually connects to the ocean. I'm surrounded 270 degrees by mountains. There are farms, there are trails, and, you know, 20 minutes drive, I'm in the downtown core of Vancouver. Another 20 minutes drive, and I'm actually on the edge of the burbs, and I'm heading towards the interior of the country. It is a perfect place to be. Hey, Beast Gamer, good to see you. So, you know, I'm biased. One of the nicest things I can do is get up every morning and climb a fucking mountain. And that's amazing. But one of the things that has been missing for me is wanderlust has just been eating away at my soul. And so to balance out all this stuff, to balance out everything that's been going on, you know, I have been desperate to travel again. And, you know, before the pandemic started, I had originally had a trip booked to spend New Year's in Japan. And I was really excited for that. New Year's in Tokyo. How much more retro future can you get? You know, and of course things happened, and it was just the year of the pandemic. December, of course, obviously nobody really knew about it. There were hints, there were whispers, there was talk. And I ended up postponing that trip because I was putting the money into something else. And then, of course, by February, shit was off the radar and, you know, things melted down by March. So I thought, you know, maybe that would be where I would end up going again. What would I end up doing? What would this year's traveling look like? Because I am just manifesting now. I've decided straight up, there is no way on God's green earth that I'm staying home again. World War III be damned. And so I've been spending a lot of time thinking about, what do I want to do? How do I want to get back to that connection? Where do I want to go? This giant earth, we tiny people and this beautiful planet in this unthinkable galaxy. What else do I want to see? And it turns out that I'm decided I'm going to go back to Iceland. I live blogged going to Iceland on Hive once. I'm going to go back to Iceland because there are some things that I definitely missed, but I have decided that is the cleanse that I need. Less people. I want to be out in a cabin under the aurora, on the edge of a glacier with no one else around me. And I want to write and hike every day and, sit out in the rain with wild horses, and I just need a bit of a break. And it's interesting because very rarely do I ever go to the same place twice. And in fact, I can't actually think of it happening. This may be the first time in a long time, but also Alaska. So there are some things on the docket this year, and I'm hoping to be able to share some shows with you and, share some content with you from being on the move again. But this is important to me in as much as it's been far too long, and it's probably been far too long for all of us. So I'm hoping that all of you have stuff on the docket, or at least are thinking about a world beyond the last couple years. And yes, it's scary right now, and yes, it's weird right now, and yes, there's all sorts of weird shit going on, no doubt, but there is still hope, and there's still some wonderful stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at. I've been thinking a lot about these outdoor aspects. And, it's interesting because there are some topics coming up that kind of cross over both. And one is just making the rounds right now, an entire abandoned village out in the middle of British Columbia, which is the province I live in. And I don't know if you've seen this yet, but it was trending on Twitter. Everybody has kind of lost their mind over it. I'll share it in chat here. But there is an entire ghost village here in Vancouver, or outside of Vancouver proper in British Columbia, that is really catching people's eye. It's up for sale for about $1.5 million US, which, let's put this in perspective. In Vancouver, British Columbia, where I live, and in fact, let's just say in my little neighborhood, I am not in Vancouver proper. I'm not even in a popular city. I'm in a tiny city with about 18,000 people. And I'm on my way out towards nature. I'm not in an urban area whatsoever. My neighbor just put their townhouse up for sale for about $880,000. Stop and think about that for a second. But the average cost of a home in British Columbia, in Vancouver, BC, but in British Columbia in general, is over $1 million. If you are a renter and you're looking for a one-bedroom apartment, expect that you will be paying $2,200 to $2,500. It is expensive here. And so this story has been taking people by storm. There is an entire town, a ghost town, hidden out in the most beautiful wooded forested area possible. And if you look at the story, what happened to this place? Why on earth is nobody, how did this not keep people's attention? How did this not keep people living here? It's wild when you think about it. Well, if we want to tie this into today's show, it's infrastructure, right? Julia has been experiencing this. Many of you guys have been experiencing this. Julia's move, she's just gone from shitty internet to living in a house out on an acreage away from civilization, but they have super smoking fast internet. Could you, dear listeners and dear watchers, what would happen if your internet was unavailable? Would that be an incredible aspect of why you could or couldn't live somewhere? Now, obviously, this town was formed before internet was an issue. Other types of resources were very much an issue. But in this day and age, forget food, forget entertainment. Could you live without high-speed internet? And in this case, your only real option in this area would be Elon's Starlink. Yes, Uncle Bonehead knows where I'm going with this. In Canada, especially in British Columbia, I'm actually in an area that Starlink is available. It's still fairly expensive. I've priced it out. But very early on, where this particular town is and where I am are already Starlink eligible. And we're not that far out, but this is where he's testing in remote areas and places with shitty infrastructure. This would be a game changer. But would it be enough? And I'm curious to know, because the relationship with people on this show, the audiences that come listen, they are not always in love with Elon. And of course, one of the things that we do on this show a lot is we dissect a lot of his absolutely bananas kind of stuff. He is our favorite sort of like Bond villain. He's not necessarily a bad guy, but he's probably not a good guy either. He has more money than God and cockamamie ideas, and he's a brilliant guy, and he's not always, perfectly in touch with humanity. And he's a fascinating character, and he pisses people off all the time. And he's really embraced the role of troll, which has kind of endeared him to the internet. But some of the stuff he's building, obviously completely fucking terrifying. And so this is interesting. Now, Uncle Bonehead's saying, if you can afford to buy an entire town, you can afford Starlink. Totally. Absolutely not disagreeing. And you know what? It's not actually even that expensive because the prices are coming down all the time. The more satellites launched, the more people using the equipment, the more that the network expands, the cheaper it gets. Technology is always kind of trickle down, right? The first early adopters pay out the anus. And then the more and more the things kind of settle in and there's a status quo, the cheaper it gets for everyone. That's normal. That's technology. The people who love it and are passionate about it and can afford it are the ones who end up putting the money in that helps that technology become available for everybody else. That's the norm. So, it's fascinating. Now, Tate Blood saying, without internet, you couldn't listen to me. A blessing and a curse, my love, very much. But so I've looked into Starlink here for me. It's still a little bit too expensive to justify it, but it's not far off. So right now for me, it's a race. I live in an area that used to be farms. It used to be just farms. And so there's no infrastructure here. And I moved from a town 10 minutes away to where I live now. And 10 minutes away, I had fiber gigabit internet. And I moved here 10 minutes away and there's no infrastructure. And my internet is like 75 meg. It's the worst internet I've ever had. It's absolutely terrible. And so right now, I am consistently struggling between what's going to happen first. Is my area going to get infrastructure for fiber first, or am I going to switch to Starlink first? So I'm watching the pricing and the infrastructure that's available, and we'll go from there. The monthly price in Canada is, it's higher than a lot of places, especially higher than Europe. But what I can tell you is I was paying less for gigabit internet in the town 10 minutes over than I am paying here for shitty 75 meg because there's no infrastructure. It's the same thing as sort of Starlink. The price is high right now, but it's going to come down. Yeah, I know, Marco, and it's not comparable. These are first world problems. I totally agree, and I'm being an asshole. But the reality is that's a big shift when most of British Columbia in sort of the Vancouver area is, gigabit fiber or better, to move to an area that's still in in terrible shape. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. Is Starlink $100 there also? Starlink was a little bit more than that. It was mostly the setup fees, but it was a little bit more than $100 a month in the area that I'm in. And the setup costs are what's expensive, buying the materials. But it also was, the speeds aren't quite where I would need them to be yet. And again, that's changing also. The more satellites that go up to orbit, they're launching all the time. Everything is changing. So the reality is, yeah, there you go, Marco. A great example. Infrastructure matters and infrastructure is difficult. But here's Elon saying, fuck your cables. I'm going to just launch some more satellites. And that's happening every single day. So something now would be possible. It would absolutely be possible to buy this crazy town and get yourself some Starlink. And, the costs are coming down. And that's a really interesting thing for me because what we used to think of as critical infrastructure now can be overcome. And what we truly think of as critical infrastructure is electricity and internet. Those are the things that we're like, can't live without. Cannot live without. And even if you're here and you pay attention to other MSP Wave shows, if you're here for Meadows and Makers with Making Stuff with Greg, he is the most amazing connection between off-grid living and, technological support kind of put together. How do you use technology and how do you use blockchain and how do you use self-sovereign disruptive elements to support off-the-grid living, permaculture, growing your own food, all sorts of things. And that's the aspect that's so interesting now. But one of the most interesting things, hey, good to see you, DDR Freak. Another, of course, one of the co-founders of Vim and another fabulous streamer who, if you like gaming, he's the one to watch. Less so me, but there's lots and lots to unpack here. But I will say, a lot of people are saying, hey, well, if you can afford a town, you can afford Starlink. Let me put this into perspective for you. I lived in a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom townhome. It's great. I love it. 2-car garage, nice little backyard, living in a beautiful area. In anywhere else in the world, this would be worth maybe $100,000, maybe. But because I live in British Columbia, Canada, right now, like I said, my neighbor just put their townhome up for $880,000. To put that in perspective, one of the other neighbors put theirs up for $850,000 and it sold for $940,000. That is just a sea hair shy of $1 million. Now think about that for a second. How much was this town? Out in the middle of nowhere, Canadian dollars, not even quite $2 million. I could sell this place today, and I would, for mine, because mine is renoed and nicely whatevered, I could sell my home for $1 million. Clear and easy, no problem. So that idea of buying a town here, if you're already in some form of real estate game, that's a very good deal. But do you have the skills? Do you have the drive? Do you have the ability to put in what it would need? And that's a really important question. And especially in this day and age where we are crazy technological dependent people, could you live in a place where infrastructure is not very good? Questions abound. So Uncle Bonehead's saying, like, my house is appraised at $78,000. Here's the deal. I guarantee you, Uncle Bonehead, if you picked up your house and you brought it to anywhere in British Columbia, your house would be worth probably $600,000 to $700,000. Just fly that fucker over here, drop it on some land, 10 times return. British Columbia has an incredible problem with home prices. Crimea, Canada, not quite. Here's the deal. I'll try and explain it to you guys. Vancouver, the city, is... I've explained it on the show before, but let me quickly recap. If you are connected, yes, in moose dollars. So what that is in USD is probably like, I don't know, $400,000 and some pocket lint, maybe. But Vancouver is on the water. It is surrounded by water and it's butted up by mountains. There is nowhere to go except towards the interior of the country. If you want to be, even where I am, when I open this window and I look out, I can see from one edge of my window to the other, nothing but mountains. And in front of that, nothing but trees. And what I can't see, but I know is there, in front of that, a river directly there. There's nowhere to go. And especially in Vancouver, you go up, or you go down, or you go out of the city. Those are your options. There is never going to be a glut of available homes in Vancouver and in Vancouver proper. So no matter what, people that want to come to Western Canada, they'll just pay the price. And it is happening. And like I said, both of my next door neighbors, both of them, the next door neighbors on that side, I paid, under $500,000. My neighbors on that side just bought in, young people, my age, young couple. They bought at $780,000. And on that side, they went up recently. They paid $940,000. So this one that just went up at $880,000, I suspect it's going to break $1 million here in my little tiny townhome suburb. It's all people like me. Leveraged out the ass, I guess, is what they are. I don't know, man. I don't know. Here's the deal, DDR Freak. There is no outer suburb in British Columbia. There isn't. I dare you I dare you to look. You're going to be living on a float. If you want to pay under $1 million for a detached home, you're going to be living on a float home, or you're going to be up in a town like this. No infrastructure, no house actually built. But yeah, I've been thinking about it, honestly. The struggle that I have is infrastructure for, this is where this topic comes up, internet, electricity. Even though I'm an incredibly outdoorsy person and I have a lot of skills, the reality comes down to there's a lot of my needs, and especially with my career and this type of thing and all the stuff that supports my ability to make money. Technology, I need it. But the secondary thing is I love live music. It is an incredibly huge part of my life. I go to minimum 4 shows a month. Sometimes I'm going to 2 shows, 2 shows a week. And I'm incredibly close with my family and friends. I spend a lot of time with people. And so could you move every important person in your life into a small town like that? And what would you do giving up on, the visual and visceral and important experiences, buying local and supporting businesses and, artists and musicians and, being part of a vibrant downtown community? There's a lot of aspects of it that go a little bit beyond what we normally think of. And that's the struggle that I am certainly having right now. So, is it interesting? Maybe not, but there's been some great chatter on this. Yeah, you could sell it and buy a whole unabandoned village with all the people here in your neighborhood. Yeah, I've thought about it. I've thought about going expat a lot. I really have. It comes up a lot for me. And so the way that I am planning to do things is I plan to not be working in 10 years or less, and then I probably will live on the road like 100%. We'll see. I don't know. My life could change, but that's the goal. So, I'm very interested in your guys' experience because it's not for everyone. And, a lot of people would not consider British Columbia worth it. I do. The more places in the world that I visit, the more I love home. But gosh darn it, as much as I want to buy an entire town, could I do it? Would the infrastructure, the electricity, the internet, and the capabilities for what we do and what we talk about on this show, these developing technologies, developing infrastructure, all of the ways that technology shapes us as communities, as, from a federal level downward to municipal to just family units. Could it be done? I don't know. For many of you, probably absolutely. Yeah, DDR Freak, just before you came, I was talking about how my original plan was to spend New Year's in Tokyo in 2019. And obviously that was right before the pandemic and things went nuts. And I was debating at the beginning of this year, would I go back there? Would I do it again? Am I going to rebook that trip? And of course, long story short is I was just letting everybody know that I actually didn't, and I'm going back to Iceland and I'm going to spend some time in Alaska as well. But that being said, I will tell you, I was shocked. One of the places that I felt awesome in back alleys, believe it or not, back alley Bangkok. I loved Bangkok. I loved it, and I never thought I would. I never thought I would love Thailand. I hate busy cities. I usually avoid them, and when I travel, I'm usually chasing, ruins, landscapes, mountains, trees, water, animals. I tell you, every day, yeah, Kwa loves it in the back alley, don't you, sir? Yeah. Bangkok, I felt incredibly safe. And it was fascinating because the days are so hot that middle of the afternoon, nobody's out and about. You go into businesses or whatever. But by about 10 o'clock at night, the heat and the humidity starts kind of going down. And so I would go out at night and I would walk around in these back alleys, and it would be people's homes. They'd be sitting outside their homes or businesses, and their whole families would be there because it's finally cool enough for them to do so. And, they're sitting around, they're making a meal, they're listening to music, they're singing, they're dancing. It was awesome. And the more that I wandered around in some of these back alleys and, kind of in sort of parts of Bangkok where the housing for real people was, they would invite me to sit with them. Hey, Mariano. They would invite me to sit with them. They were offering food. They were giving me advice on stuff to see. It was awesome. I loved it. And it was crazy because a part of me is thinking like, ooh, I'm in Thailand. I'm the whitest white girl that ever whited. And maybe that's not important, but what that does mean is when you're in an area where not everyone's white, it shows that you don't live there usually. And what that means is you're a tourist and you probably got currency that's not in the same currency as theirs. It's probably worth more. Holy shit, roll that broad. Maybe she's carrying a camera. She's probably got, whatever. I did not feel that way. I loved Bangkok. I loved it. I'm the whitest of whites. I'm practically see-through. So go fish. I don't know why that was, but it was fantastic. I should make the crypto experience, Marco. I should. I've thought about it. I have. Listen, you know what? We've been talking. We went so off track, but that's what today was. Today was open chat. Whatever you guys want to talk about, entertaining you, having a lot of fun, playing some good music. So now that we had a lot of fun and we jumped on over her and we were seeing our visualizer, whoa, I'm going to play some more music for you. I already played Techno Girl. I already played Synthetic Soul. I've got a couple more tracks. Weiss just released a new track called Escape. So we could play that, or we could play a track by Ugress. I'll play that one. It's very short. It's called Pharaoh's Epoch. My name is Crimson Clad, and this is CyberBuzz Radio on MSP Waves. After all this, I get the visualizer working and Bonehead's like, it's not as cool. You're right, it's not. But hey, I'm doing the best I can. There you go. A quick track by Ugress called Pharaoh's Epoch. My name is Crimson Clad, and this is CyberBuzz Radio. Having a little fun, hanging out here, doing the thing and the stuff with all of the glorious synthwave stuff. I coded it specifically that way for you. Oh no, she coded it. I thought you were talking about me coding it for you, but no, you're talking about the inappropriate dance scripts, and that's fine. So here's the deal. We've been talking about a little bit of everything today. It started out a really quiet day. It's a beautiful day outside. There's lots going on in the eco-political sphere around Hive. There is the Mazer Gaming tournament. There's just lots that would keep today's show small. And of course, I've stopped doing the Twitter twat. I'm going to get back to it. Hey, Gabe, I'm going to get back to it. I promise. It's on my to-do list. I'm just terrible at it. So, given that very few people actually know about the shows, one of the things that I will be doing, I promise, is I will be making events in my Discord server, because that way you can add them to your calendar, or they're just kind of a reminder. And I'll also continue this going live thing, so there's a flag on the server so that you know when it happens. But, if you want to see this and you're finding one of the places where you're watching the stream or listening, then you can always click follow or whatever. I'm here every weekend and we do this show. Now, a lot of the time we talk about blockchain, we talk about disruptive technology, we talk about things happening out there in the world, virtual reality, augmented reality, and just all of the things that were such crazy ideas, especially in the 80s, in that Blade Runner-esque time. Holograms that live with us. Yeah, man, Japan's already on that. Things that we thought were the most wildest corners of our dark desires of a technological future. We're living that future now. And somehow, when we look back at movies and TV and sci-fi and this aesthetic, it has this retro veneer on it. And what we're creating now, inspired by that stuff, it doesn't feel the same. And there's this neon wash, dirty rain on the concrete kind of aesthetic that this show is all about, whether it's music or topics, hopefully a lot of fun. So one of the things we started talking about is, upcoming Hive hardforks and things like that, and some aspects to what's going to be coming down the pipe in the coming weeks and months for Hive. And then we've been kind of just having open chatter, and somehow we've been talking about infrastructure and internet, and we were talking a little bit about the fact that there's an entire abandoned ghost town in one of the most beautiful areas of British Columbia, which is where I live. And the fact that it's actually shockingly affordable, all considered. And what would that look like? What types of technological infrastructure would you need to take the plunge on that? I'm not sure why Gabe is rolling his eyes in chat, but it's all good in the hood. Oh, it's temperatures. Now here's the deal. I can't always see the audience channel. Something has completely broken on my PC and I haven't figured out how to fix it yet. Why? I don't know. So I kind of have to deal with the chat between some of my chat apps and what's on the overlay. So if I miss something you post, especially that's an image or whatever, it's because I'm an asshole. But in reality, it's actually just because I don't know what broke and I don't know how to fix it. I'm a technological queen, but I literally can't function inside of Discord. So, before the break there, one of the sort of interesting things that we were talking about is Starlink. And we were talking about Starlink availability and how in Canada, especially, Canada's been sort of a testing ground for Starlink, specifically because there are a lot of areas of Canada that really don't have a great, handle on internet infrastructure, right? That's just the reality. If you're outside of the central areas, cyber attacks. Oh yeah, okay. Well, I mean, it's pretty common. I will say Discord has terrible anti-bot features. Discord has terrible anti-flood features, and it's been happening for years. And in most cases, servers like ours, servers around the ecosystem, I've done things like built Crim bot, everybody's kind of come up with their own solutions to deal with it. Discord has not yet. And after 4 or 5 years, they get so much heat because they really haven't created a good system for dealing with bot flooding, traffic, things like that, sort of these types of attacks. It is interesting. So I don't really necessarily think that's anything to do with the current geopolitical situation. That's to do with Discord has let this problem go on far too long, and they are becoming one of the biggest sort of communication networks out there. It's interesting that Discord has moved so far beyond gaming chat or like a server for like a big Twitch streamer, right? Here we are. Many of you guys are listening through the Discord right now, whether it's radio stations, gathering places, community forums on any number of topics. And of course, recently Discord put a lot of really sort of sketchy terms, ass-covering terms, to be quite honest, into their terms of service because they never expected to get this big. And they never expected that there would be so much heat on them, both from people who want them not to change and, of course, from governments and large types of communities with interests that want them to change desperately. Gathering places where people can speak freely are always problematic, especially in today's world. And there's a number of reasons for that. Many of them are valid. Many of them are completely and totally invalid and should be resisted. The reality is if anybody is trying to tell you what you can and can't speak about and who you can and can't interact with, you should be running like crazy from that. But of course, we also know that you don't want to foster communities who actively seek to do physical harm, violence, whatever. And there's a balancing act there. Obviously, I am not truly believing that Discord is going to have much help with that. But I do understand that in today's world, they desperately need to think about how to protect themselves. Do I think their new terms of service are going to do that? Yeah. Do I think they are very much sort of pandering to a lot of the trends that we are seeing around the internet of memory holding things that are uncomfortable to large groups or, playing into the interests of certain types of people? Absolutely. But it is what it is. And we talk about that a lot here on the show. And that's why many of you guys have come to the Hive blockchain, is you're looking for a place where you can place data, information, personal experiences, make connections that are immutable and cannot be acted upon by outside forces. Have you ever used Matrix? Yes. And there are a number of different solutions that are similar to Matrix, and like Mastodon and other options like that. And to be quite honest, I'm one of those people who... Hi, Ori Marie. Good to see you. One of the biggest troubles out there is for someone like myself, I am the biggest hypocrite. I talk this talk and I believe these values very strongly. And it's part of the reason that this show came about and, my sort of in-depth involvement in Hive and blockchain solutions and the crypto space in general. But when it comes down to it, I am still very much using many services that still have these types of restrictions in them. And I use them because they are convenient and because in a lot of ways they fit everything I need and want. And I can say that is an aspect of my life that I truthfully need to work on. Now, if you guys have been here before, we often talk about the idea of ideals, values, morals in the techno space. It can be difficult to kind of figure out what kind of products should I be using, given how money and technology go hand in hand, how corporations are created around success and building resources. Most technological tools in one way or another have a tie to something, someone, a group, an activity that does not mesh with your personal morals, that does not mesh with your personal goals. And that's a tricky thing that we talk about a lot on this show is where can you make these compromises? Where do you, okay, so DDR Freak is giving us a great example for a jumping off point. Now, DDR Freak is a streamer who was, working around on Twitch and other streaming platforms, these big options that have always existed. And one of the most important things that has kind of come out of his time on Twitch is realizing there's a better way to support creators. There's a better way to handle demonetization. There's a better way to handle monetization in general. How do you, as a platform, do you get involved in the ability for someone to create connections with viewers as a content creator? And over the years, working with the legacy blockchain and now Hive, he has been involved in co-founding Vim TV. And many of you are watching there today. Vim TV being a streaming alternative to something like Twitch. And there's a lot of important aspects to that, whether it is peer-to-peer connections on Vim TV that are actually recorded in the blockchain. So, even for some reason, if Vim TV, you were deplatformed from the front end, all of the stuff you've done, the money you've earned, the connections you've made, the followers you've gained, the likes, the content is in a blockchain. And there's some great options around that. But what he's saying is, well, hey, I hold a lot of power on Vim as a co-founder, as somebody who is guiding this ship. This is a problem for you too, and I get it. Somebody who is trying to build an alternative, you have to think about all these questions, but you're also a user. And you're also kind of looking at it as, well, what are the sorts of things that make my experience bad on Twitch or maybe on Vim? Where does terms of services go too far? Where do you need them for experience? How do you build a solution that works? And this is problematic. And yeah, you're right. You're probably living this life. And many of you guys, whether you're a streamer or not, whether you just listen to radio, watch people play games, these things are happening to you too. Like you might love watching Crimson Clad's Knitted Tea Cozy show, but watching it on YouTube, you don't want to support YouTube in any way, shape, or form. But if that's the only place I'm making my content available, what's more important? Using YouTube's infrastructure, which is literally woven into the fabric of human existence now, or do you, support a creator, Crimson Clad, and her stupid Knitted Tea Cozy show, because she's the only one making this content and it's really important to you, and that community has become, an integral part of your life and you find it incredibly valuable. Which side of that equation, which side is heavier for you? And this is something we talk about on this show a lot is, can you disconnect some of these things, and how far are you willing to? Right now, Discord is such a wonderful solution for so many people, but these new terms of service, especially talking about, hey, pretty much anything that you talk about that we don't like, we can say is misinformation or we can say is harmful, and we'll shut down your server and ban you forever. But in the case of, say, even this show that we're here, my community and the people that I talk to every day and that I help, whether it's around the blockchain or other places, I know them and I connect with them through Discord. And Discord's shitty terms of services turn me way, way off. And I want to be like, I just want to nuke Discord from my life. But the flip side is that the amount of good that I can do via Discord and these important relationships in my life Discord really makes them easy. And honestly, even in some ways, Hive doesn't necessarily, it works just as well, but it's not as easy. And that's a key factor that we talk about a lot on this show. What's easy? What's easy? We are creatures that follow the path of least resistance. And so, often on this show, we talk about what is the tipping point for technology? What is the tipping point for what is bad and what is good? And why do you keep using coded speak about your cock warmers? Tea cozies have always been my go-to example. Many of you guys have been with me long enough that you've heard them. And actually, one of the most fun things ever is Corbin, one of the listeners, he's not here today. He actually went out and he found, and I think I showed it to some of you guys. I should keep it up here. He went out and found a local person near him who created a custom crocheted tea cozy for me. Knitted tea cozies. Literally, he found one and he sent it to me, and it is fucking loved and cherished. And so, as much as we'd like to say it's cock warmers, yeah, those come up on the show too, but it's legitimately knitted tea cozies. It's a perfect example for everything. And so now I have a beautiful octopus knitted tea cozy, and it's so shout outs to Corbin, even though he's not here. You guys can all tag him in the chat. Okay, so we've kind of been talking about a little bit of everything today. We've come back to that philosophical place where we're trying to figure out what is good and what is bad, and what are we willing to put up with because of infrastructure that exists, and where is that line where you disconnect from a technology because of your personal wants, needs, morals, whatever. And so this kind of brings me back around to Starlink, because of course, Elon has a lot to say, and it's often on Twitter, isn't it? Fucking Elon. And so you may have noticed this or not, but so what some of the things that have happened recently, obviously, is immediately Elon turned on Starlink, the satellite network, over Ukraine, right? So that was sort of the first big thing is, okay, places where infrastructure is fucked up, we're going to go in there and we're going to turn on Starlink. It's as easy as, flipping a switch. The satellites are up there. Let's make this available in Ukraine. And so, Elon, love him or hate him, and on this show, we often do both, has been tweeting about this ever since. And he's one of those companies where some of the stuff that he's building is incredibly needed. It's fabulous. It's saying, fuck these governments' needs. Here's stuff that people want or that we need to move forward. But at the same time, he also obviously has all of the interests that somebody with more money than God would. And some of his choices are very specifically harmful. So, one of the things that I thought was really interesting is that SpaceX, he has tweeted, SpaceX has been reprioritized. SpaceX has been reprioritized. What the hell? Reprioritized to cyber defense and overcoming signal jamming. And this is going to cause slight delays in Starship and Starlink V2. So this is interesting. This is a tweet that he has made in the last day where he is saying, hey, my entire rocket building, satellite launching company, fuck it. We see what's happening in the world right now, and we are legitimately switching everything we've got over to cyber defense and overcoming signal jamming. So this is fascinating, and this is one of those things, he's already said he's not going to block Russian media, and he's opened up Starlink to the people of Ukraine. Here is a network where, half the people are going to be like, thank God, we need to get information in and out of Ukraine. These are, people both in Ukraine and Russia who are at the mercy of their government's decisions, who are getting fucked over. And he's saying, let's support them. But, there are just as many people who are saying, fuck Ukraine or fuck Russia. They shouldn't get anything, and any company that supports helping either of those states is bad. And that's it. We're always divided on one side of the coin or the other. And so this is really interesting to me because here's Elon saying, listen, the best thing we can do is make sure everybody can talk. Is what they're saying what you want to hear? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it propaganda? Is it misinformation? It doesn't matter, because if we block any one sort of group, with this ultimate power as a platform, then we're impacting sort of the overall political ecosystem. It's not helpful. So I think this is really, really interesting because this is going to make a lot of people hate him, and a lot of people who hated him love him. But I am, of course, of this overall ideal is that a communication platform really, really shouldn't be the arbiter of what's good and what's bad. There are some things that are very, very obviously bad, and platforms have to take these hardline stances to say, yeah, this is bad, and we don't want you to be able to bully the shit out of someone or, make threats or whatever. It's incredibly problematic. So for me, the way that I'm starting to look at this and the way that I'm kind of creating the ability to differentiate is to say, listen, is this a backbone or is this truly a platform? So a platform like Twitch is not your internet provider. It's not taking away your ability to communicate. If they say, hey, you said a terrible thing that I don't like, get off my platform. Ugh, okay. But that doesn't mean that your internet provider is then saying, also, you can no longer have internet. And that, I think, for me, is going to be the difference. And that's the problematic part, because no matter what, keeping these channels open and putting money towards these technological advances, bad things will come of it. Truth be told, somebody will use a communication channel to do a bad thing. Someone will use internet communications or Starlink communications or, this signal jamming that Elon wants to end. They're going to use that opened corridor to do a bad thing. But is that bad thing weighed across the idea of losing an entire subsection of communication based on rules that you don't understand and motivations that you don't have control over and money that honestly you will never see or understand? Is that okay? And I'm gonna have to say no. It's wild. It's wild. It's a scary concept because before, this was important to war, but it was just considered part of the fog of war. Now, this is almost the bulk of war. How can you communicate? How do you show what's happening inside your country? How do you shape other people's perspectives about you as a government? There are so many aspects to it. And gosh, it's a wild time. It's a wild time for sure. I don't know. All right. Listen, we have just been chitty-chatting about anything and everything, and we've inevitably turned towards what is happening around the world right now. And for a lot of people, it hits too close to home. You have friends, you have family, you are, you're stressing out because in one way or another, we're all sort of on the hook for whatever happens here. And none of us get a choice because governments are shitty and governments make bad choices and citizens pay for them. So we will calm ourselves a little bit. We will remember that there is good in the world and there are things we can do. And we'll kind of move from there. Now, Uncle Bonehead's saying, yeah, internet providers should be decentralized. So mesh nets are a thing, but I want to throw this out there. Speaking of, just while we play the next track, and since, of course, we didn't scare each other badly enough, I want to talk a little bit about the idea of mesh nets. Now, of course, there are options out there right now, which are open source mesh nets that are literally just communication systems. If devices are close enough together, they can use each other as communication relays. But one of the ones that I want you to think about, that maybe you do, maybe you don't, the big one that a lot of people are a part of without even knowing is Amazon's Sidewalk. Every single Amazon device, from an Echo to a tablet to a fucking Kindle to your smart watch to whatever, and Apple's another good example, but Amazon's very open about it. Amazon is building a mesh net. Any single Amazon device can use all of the other Amazon devices around it to create communications channels, whether or not the internet is present. Stop and think about that. That's a decentralized internet of its own. But that is controlled by somebody who's not you. And the overall control and infrastructure there is not decentralized. And that's fascinating and terrifying. Keep it in the back of your mind. If you have an Amazon device, you can actually opt out. Now, whether it's actually opt out, you can opt out of Sidewalk. There are options. You literally can just quickly find them, turn it off. But most people don't realize that this is a thing. In some ways, it's incredibly powerful. Your internet goes out, you are in some sort of emergency, you need something that you can't get for whatever reason, but you can still make an Amazon order and have it, delivered to you, whatever. There are some cases where, this is very, very useful, but at the same time, boy, it's scary. All right, so I'm going to play you guys a track. Boy, would it be terrible to play you guys a track called Attack Music? I think that's what we're going to do. I think we're going to play a track called Attack Music by an artist called Runaway Droid. My name is Crimson Clad. Today's just been open chat, so we've been all over the place. If you've managed to keep listening through this absolute shit show of topics, congrats, good for you. If you want to come back next week, we'll have a little more cohesive show. But I thought, you know what, man, on a day like today where it's quiet and, the sun is shining and people are thinking about everything, what do you guys want to talk about? It is what it is. So let's continue to this. Let us keep on keeping on. Now, Bonehead's worried that he's responding to a bot. Here's the deal. If you are chatting on any platform, Discord, Twitch, Vim, Trovo, Theta, YouTube, wherever you are watching or listening, there are bots that are coming back and forth to and from chat. So no matter where you chat, you're responding to a bot, but on the other end is a person. There is a bot that is relaying messages. So the bot that is DDR Freak in the Discord is a Vim connection from the Vim channel to the Discord. The Discord is relaying through a chat bot over to Twitch. Twitch is relaying through a chat bot over to Theta or Trovo. Wherever you watch, wherever you listen, if you want to participate in chat, I have got some sort of connection to make sure that you can be part of it. So, if you're like, I'm not in the Discord, I can't say anything. Not true. Comment wherever you are and it will show up in everybody else's feed so everybody can participate. If you just want to listen, no problem. Here we go. Let us take a quick peek. I'm going to play you this Attack Music. You know what? Maybe that's going to up everybody's anxiety, but it's a great track. It's a perfect fit. Some new synthwave here on CyberBuzz Radio. All right, there you go. Yeah, bobbing your head there. Runaway Droid, a track called Attack Music. That's your classic synthwave sort of trope. I don't care if it's a trope. I love it. I like being able to share good, weird, dystopian techno music. Are you in your hover Lambo, going down the back alleys and the rain is sheeting down and you're being chased by some sort of replicant? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Good fun all around. So there you go. Guys, we are coming towards the end of the show today. It's very sad. It's so sad. And that's fine. I hope you guys have had a lot of fun today. We've been working on a lot of different stuff. There's lots of cool things, even if it is just this new overlay, doing a bit of work to get that going. There's still lots of stuff to be improved here. We're gonna continue on with that. But the idea is that there will be lots to see, lots to do, lots to hang out with here, all of the people. Hover Lambo in the back alleys of neon nights in Bangkok. And actually some of my favorite photos were taken. The neon in Bangkok is unbelievable. And in a lot of ways, it is very sort of retro future dystopian, whether there's trash or people or, kind of sleazy scenes and, this kind of weird dichotomy of, these beautiful high-tech flashing lights and people who are, out in the back streets roasting something over an open fire. It's very cool. It's very much the aesthetic. What can I say? I've got some great photos of neon in Bangkok. So we're coming towards the end of CyberBuzz today. If you were willing to hang out with us all day, I'm so glad that you were here for the show. Happy to have you and hoping that I will see you back next week. So this week, what did we talk about? Because honestly, we kind of meandered. We meandered from topic to topic. We listened to a lot of great new synthwave. We talked a little bit about everything. We talked about some of the stuff that is coming down the pipe in the next coming months. Hardfork will be coming for Hive. We talked a little bit about, living in Vancouver, buying a tiny compound town and infrastructure. How would we get internet there? Things like that. We were talking a little bit about the costs of internet and Starlink, and then we were talking about communications channels and some of the difficulties around, can you match the platforms that you use and the corridors and the infrastructure that you need up to the goals and values and morals that you have. It's the trickiest part of today's world. It's been a great chat. Thanks for hanging out. I hope it's been really entertaining for you. Now, one of the things that Bonehead wants to know is how I've got these here, some of these visualizer things that I have going on. And in fact, if I actually played a little bit more of this track, there they go. They go along to the music. And so for those of you who are watching, that is using a couple different things. It's using a visualizer output program that has been then heavily edited with CSS. A lot of my overlay is custom created. I'm a web developer, and I'm also a graphic designer, and so I use both of these things. Now it's so tough because I see that Bastian's here and saying hi, and many people are just wandering in. Chaotica has just joined us, but the thing is we have come right towards the end of the show. We've only got a couple minutes left. So at this time of the show, I always like to remind you, hey, you got to come on back next week. If you want any sort of notifications or whatnot, you can either join my Discord or you can use the subscribe command in the radio Discord. Or if you're watching or listening on one of the streams, you can hit follow or notifications or ring the bells. I don't fucking know. I'm not good at this. I just like having you around, but I don't want you to feel obligated to come back. You should, but I don't, whatever. I hate saying this stuff. I hate this part. So I'm going to be working on some options for people, some, self-roles, properly scheduling events, and using the live streaming aspect so people can remember when shows are live, and hopefully you will find them and enjoy them. Lots of stuff coming up in the future. Want to talk a little bit more about what's happening in the Leo ecosystem. So, of course, Polycub, which is like just going gangbusters. It's just brand new, and it's really exciting, and there's some fun stuff coming down the pipe with that. Want to talk a little bit more about Deluxe, and of course, other topics out there, often whether it's AI or AR or VR or video games or just great synthwave music. That's what the show is all about. Now, if you are interested in having a cool soundtrack to your day, then MSP Waves is our social interactive broadcasting network. It's powered by a decentralized blockchain on Hive, but it goes way beyond that, and you've got options. So if you go to mspwaves.com/listen, you'll be able to tune in at any time. But of course, we have a schedule there, and there are more shows today. If you want cool talk shows, Loud and Proud will be on shortly. Later this evening, we'll have Coffee and Philosophy with Clay. Tomorrow will be Lazy Sundays with Mackenzie Gary. There's lots of stuff. Go! Check it out. Hang out. And if you want to be a DJ, if you want to stream, if you want to entertain, if you want to have a show, hell, you can, because this is a community-driven effort. Let me know, let Ron know, go to the website, figure it out. We'd love to have you. But if you've been entertained today, I would love to have you back again. With that being said, we have come to the official end of the show. Next week, if you guys have topics that you want to touch upon, just gently, you want to touch upon them, let me know. I'm always available. You can shoot me a message. Reality is I suck at Discord DMs. I have like 300 unanswered messages right now. But I will do my best to triage. And I will be working to build together some more infrastructure and better tools to better serve and entertain you darlings. And of course, the overlay will continue to improve. So will the morale, my darlings. Okay, so thanks, bye. That's what Gabe's saying. Everybody else is peacing out. I loved having you here. And of course, if you ever need Imagine a world that we wear goggles that superimpose AR and VR on the world around us. That's literally what we talk about every fucking week on CyberBuzz. The last 3 shows have been about that, my man. You would love them. Go back through the archives on YouTube, check out some of the older shows, enjoy yourself, and get learned on the wild and crazy and dangerous techno world that we are entering into. Gentle reminder, you can find me at CrimsonClad on pretty much every platform. And for that, I'm leaving. It's over. Bye, my friends. Come back on Thursday for Full Force Radio. Heavy metal and sass.